A massive thank you to Alphonse, Nilly, Point Blank, Lucas and Rodrigo for subscribing to the channel. If you're not already featured in these clips, make sure you subscribe down below. Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we're here back with round 20 of Season 2 of the F1 22 My Team Career Mode. Yesterday we returned to the Mexican Grand Prix. If you missed out on the video that went live late on last week from COTA, I would highly recommend going back and checking out another very interesting race as we get towards the end of Season 2. Of course, three rounds, 4 races left to go of Season 2 of this career mode, and things are looking pretty safe for us overall. At the moment, to be honest, we haven't got a lot to play for at this stage of the game, but we are making good progress and setting ourselves up nicely with a bit of luck, of course, for Season 3. But of course, if you're new around here as well, and you are enjoying our F1 22 content, please do make sure you leave a like and get yourself subscribed. We're closing in on 90,000 subscribers at the moment, and of course, trying to hit 100k by the end of the year. So if you could help me get one step closer to that, it would be massively appreciated. But having a look then at the current championship standings, Valtteri Bottas still leads the way there. There is a big battle forming at the top of the table. 12 points the gap between Valtteri and George Russell there. 29 points cover the top 3 cars there. 3 cars, 3 different teams. Now, Charles Leclerc is making an incredibly late battle to try and defend his World Championship crown from last year. McLaren lead the Constructors just 4 points ahead of Mercedes as well. So there is still plenty going on at the front end of the field. But yeah, Mexican Grand Prix today, of course, has always been quite an interesting race in the past, not only on F1 22, but also on previous games. I'm sure that will continue today, as we might just be able to try and put a fresh power unit into the car as well, just making sure we'll get everything that we could possibly need. Of course, Mexico, very much a power-orientated circuit, so well, there we go. We'll put our whole fresh power unit into the car, and let's get into it then. Mexican Grand Prix time. Let's first of all jump in with practice. Right, well, let's get back to it then. Mexican Grand Prix, like we said, just 3 rounds to go of Season 2 of this career, but it has been a very interesting story as the championship has evolved. You know, we've thoroughly cemented ourselves as a front of midfield runner, and of course hoping for Season 3 we can try and make that big step and maybe start battling for race victories. I think we still are yet to actually get a podium in this My Team Career Mode on F1 22. We've had some very good consistent results, but just haven't quite picked up any silverware just yet. Maybe, just maybe, Mexico this weekend could be that weekend, but yeah, we're still just trying to focus on the bigger picture. You know, we're pretty safely settled P6 in the Constructors, P10 in the Drivers' Championship, but yeah, just want to continue making progress as we look towards next year. Teo Porchero, I think, highly likely to stay on with the organisation as well. Of course, has done a fantastic job in the half season he's had so far in the car, and hopefully that can continue into Season 3. So we ran the final corner though to finish off my first fuel sim run. Let's see if we can just clutch up to purple. Yes, we do. Love that. Here we go then, tyre wear simulation run as well. Here in Mexico, of course, now we actually get access to the battery as we head down towards turn 1. So really the key is in these programs, just use all the battery early on in the lap, get yourself close to a second up on the delta, and then just nurse the tyres around the rest of the lap. A little bit of oversteer as we head through the final couple of corners, but collecting the car up quite nicely. At the final turn, that is going to be another perfect purple. Let's get into qualifying then, here in Mexico. Imperium experiences are back and better than ever. This time they are offering you the chance to win a weekend of a lifetime at the 2022 season finale in Abu Dhabi. This includes a 4-night accommodation at a 5-star hotel and travel to and from the circuit included every day. All you need to do is click the link down in my description and enter the competition on their website. But hurry, with only 1,500 tickets available and the competition closing on the 14th of September, you definitely don't want to miss out on this. So click the link down in the description below, and a massive thank you to Imperium for sponsoring this video. Here we are then, qualifying day from Mexico, feeling a lot more settled as we get into qualifying than we did at COTA last weekend, so hopefully that's a good omen as we get into qualifying. Of course, like we've seen so often though this year, qualifying times are so ridiculously tight. You know, a couple of tenths of a second can genuinely now be the difference between out in Q1 or making it all the way into the top 10 shootout at the end of qualifying, but hopefully this weekend maybe we can sneak ourselves back into Q3. Of course, we are just aiming for consistent, always through Q1, unless, of course, we get any major issues, but Mexico can throw up some surprises. It's always just Sector 3 I really struggle with around this circuit. Of course, you run solo wings on the F1 games, just try and give you that helping hand down the straights. And through this final sector, you really do feel like you're sort of dragging the car around. And again, just like we saw in practice, a lot of understeer. That was optimistic, I think we'll describe that, over the curbing in the final corner. But we do go fastest. We've got Perez, I think, just behind us. He will actually slot into P2 there, but as always, I'm sure we'll see the times ramp up. Well, still just inside the top 10 at the moment, as everyone else starting their last-ditch attempts here in Q1. We're just going to give it one more run, just in case. The likes of Perez should be able to go a lot quicker. K-Mag has set some blistering lap times in qualifying over recent weeks as well. And Teo Porcher a couple of places up the road, so just would rather be safe than sorry. A little bit of understeer there as we head down in towards the final sector, but if we can get a better, tidier run through, we might still have a chance of improving us out through the final couple of corners we go. Attack the curbs nicely that time. We aren't even going to improve though, but nor really is anyone else there, as we do stay P11 at the end of Q1. That's good enough, and we will get into Q2. Well, Teo Porcher at the moment then ran slightly quicker than me in Q1. They're about 1.5 tenths up, so we definitely need to try and find a little bit more time in the car. There's certainly a bit more pace to be had from it. But, I mean, we were, what, half a second away from fastest there in Q2. Of course, we often do see the times ramp up, but maybe Q3 is going to be possible this weekend if we get a good lap dialed in there. It's really late on the brakes at turn 1. Trying to get the car slowed down and rotated through that first corner. Maximum attack. There we go. Lewis Hamilton sets a 16-0 as we head through the final couple of corners. Whoa! Whoa! Oh! Big moment there as we try and go through the final turn. We're still getting big moments, but up towards the line. And we go marginally slower than Lewis Hamilton there, but somehow split the McLarens. That was a fairly decent lap time, but it got a bit ragged towards the end as George Russell, first man back into the 15s. Well, I'm not convinced we're going to be able to find much more time then on this second run, but we are currently up inside the top 10. I wouldn't mind a cheeky little Q3 appearance here in Mexico City, and let's just see. Of course, yeah, like I said, that first lap was pretty ragged right towards the end, but most of it was pretty cool, calm and composed. So we'll have to wait and see whether we can try and find any more time then, or whether we're going to see any other cars go quicker there. Verstappen currently down in P9, probably a lot closer to the drop zone than the Dutchman would want, but Red Bull really have just not delivered him a good enough car throughout the entirety of this season. It's a bit calmer through turn 1. Hopefully we'll therefore find some time on the exit, which we immediately will there. At the first couple of turns, almost a tenth up already. Is exactly what we want to see there, as luckily we're also not seeing any other cars improving behind us. As we head down through Sector 2. That was very scrappy though, that is not going to do me any favours. We head through the next cheeky little double right-hander. Not too sure what makes it cheeky, I've just kind of decided it does. As now, of course, into the S's. Try and keep the car between the white lines there. Of course, get two wheels over the curbs, and that is some chronic understeer. As we head through the chicane there, we are just chucking away time at the moment, but it's still looking good enough that we will see ourselves into Q3. I don't know what it is, but no one seems to be able to find time on their second runs here. As through the final couple of corners we go then. Again, just try and keep it composed. As we head through the final turn, we are going to be up in the green slightly, up towards the checkered flag though. Are we going to improve? No, we don't. We basically matched the time, but it is P8, and we're into Q3. Well, there we go then, having a look at the Q2 results. Teo Porcher, they're very unlucky. I just missed out by a tenth of a second to Pierre Gasly there, but Albon looking very strong in his Williams as well. No major... Oh, well, Lando Norris out in Q2 is very disappointing for him. But yeah, no major surprises out in Q2 there. But, I mean, we're, what, 3 tenths away from pole position here. If we nail it, we got one run in Q3. If we can nail it, we can easily find ourselves front row, second row of the grid. Let's try and get a 15. Right, well, here we go then. One chance in Q3 for the Mexican Grand Prix. And Valtteri Bottas has suddenly decided there's no more mucking around up at McLaren. A 1:15.4 there is a phenomenal lap time by the Flying Finn, but more and more upgrades going on this car at the moment is bringing us closer and closer to the top line performance that we're seeing, from your McLarens, from your Ferraris and your Mercedes here. But can we try and get into the 15s? A lot more cars have dipped down into the 115s. I think it was about the top 7 on the board, but of course everyone now will be trying to improve at the end of their qualifying run. They're very, very late on the brakes down at turn 1. But it is frustrating, of course, the fact you don't get your delta. There's a big, big snap out of the first couple of corners. That is certainly not going to do us any favours, but we need to just put it behind us and make sure we keep the rest of the lap nice and composed there. Little way down in Sector 1, but of course, like I said, that was probably due to that delta as we are trying to explore the limits of grip and really sort of see what times we can post on the board there. As down now through the S's, this is where a lot of time can be won or lost. So we head through the S's there, try and keep it just between the white lines there, just on the curbing as well. Of course, got to make this track as wide as you dare. We have been starting very strong through Sector 2 this weekend. Down through the final sector though, this has often been where I've not felt so cool, calm and collected there, as through the final couple of corners we go. Now one more turn and one horrible traction zone as we head up towards the line. Shortest run out of the final turn. What's the time going to be? A 15.4 is P2 on the grid here in Mexico. If we didn't have the wheel spin out of turn 1, that could have been pole.
We're all ready for tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who'll be fronting the grid. Bottas, Mr. Monaco, and Charles Leclerc. With qualifying complete, all that remains now is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Well, there we go then. What a lap at the end of qualifying for the Mexican Grand Prix there. Valtteri Bottas, championship leader, gets the job done with a 1 minute 15.4, but clearly the Mexico circuit working very, very well for us there. I never expected us. I thought maybe that lap could have been, you know, a 15.7, a 15.8. I was never expecting to see a 15.4 when we crossed the finish line there, but we are ahead of Charles Leclerc. We are ahead of Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Ricciardo, and even George Russell finds himself down in P7 on the grid here in Mexico City. But let's get into it then. Front row start for the Mexican Grand Prix. Of course, a huge run down towards turn 1, so we're probably going to lose a lot of places. This channel is proudly sponsored by Bybit, the official crypto partner of Red Bull's Formula 1 team. I've been using their platform for my personal crypto savings over the last few months, and when they got in touch to support the channel, I was super, super excited. Currently, they're offering you guys a special new promo for the first 100 of you to deposit $10 or more onto the platform. You'll get another $10 free. Also, 5 lucky winners will get their initial deposit doubled up to $1,000. That means if you deposited $1,000 onto the platform using my codes below, you could be within a chance to get another $1,000 completely free. We've seen the landscape around crypto drastically change over the last couple of years, and I genuinely believe it holds an important place in our future. However, please be careful as always when trading, as you are liable to lose money. But if you're interested and you're 18 or older, click the link down below to get started and see why Red Bull and myself, as well as thousands of others, trust Bybit as their crypto.
Welcome to Mexico City, the most popular city in North America, and home, of course, to the Mexico City Grand Prix. It's a sellout crowd as usual here at one of the shortest circuits on the Formula 1 calendar. And who, I wonder, will they be cheering on the top step of today's podium? We're a long way above sea level here in Mexico today, which could pose some cooling issues for the cars as they make their way around this 2.6-mile lap. 17 corners with top speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and watch out for potential overtaking into turns 1 and 4. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and Mr. Monaco completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Leclerc, Verstappen, George Russell, and Perez, Hamilton, Théo Pourchaire, Stroll, and Lando Norris, Magnussen, Mick Schumacher, Carlos Sainz, and Schwartzman. Gasly, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Tsunoda, Felipe Drugovich, and Guan Yu Zhou. They've taken a grid penalty. Latifi, Ocon, Ricciardo, and Alex Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box. Ant, it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the run down into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Right, well here we are then, on the grid, ready in Mexico City, and we spent most of last race following Valtteri Bottas, and maybe, just maybe today, I think if we can hang on to the coattails of the Finn, I will be a very, very happy boy there. But first front row start then, if I'm not mistaken, of this career mode. I think we had our best start and finish last year in Mexico as well, but things are about to get interesting. Not too sure, to be honest. That that one stop is the way to go. Often you sort of find that soft, medium, soft, it might be worth a bit of a gamble. We'll wait and see as to how things pan out later on in the day. But yeah, definitely don't think the one stop is worthwhile around this venue. Really not expected to finish P2 today, but, I mean, if we could walk away with a podium, I would be an incredibly, incredibly happy boy. But it's going to be a long race ahead of us. Looks like we are the only car, at least inside the top 5 there, that is starting on these softs. But look at that, 5 cars from 5 different teams, top 5 on the grid. I mean, that's 4 cars, 4 power units in the top 4 as well. F1 parity, you love to see it in the My Team universe. Of course, Valtteri Bottas heads into this race with a 12-point lead in the championship. Oh no. Oh no. I just went into the back of the Finn there as we were heading back round in towards the final couple of corners, and I was trying to hype that up then. I was trying to say, Bottas of course heads into this weekend with a 12-point advantage over George Russell there. Charles Leclerc starting P3 will surely just want to try and get into the lead as early as possible there, and if he can continue on that winning form, then maybe, just maybe, he can bring that gap even closer as we head towards Brazil, and then of course the finale in Abu Dhabi. But Bottas and I are both going to be on cold tyres then for the start of the Mexican Grand Prix here. Just waiting on the last cars to line up on the grid, and then hopefully we will get the 5 red lights on in just a moment. They're ready on the grid here in Mexico. Can we try and get a good start here today? 5 red lights, and it is lights out and away. We haven't gone anywhere. That is bad by even my standards, as there goes pretty much everyone from the front runners. Look at this from Lando Norris as we head down towards the first corner. Then Norris have a handful of spots as we get down in towards the first braking zone. And I'm so sorry to Lance Stroll there. Knew I had to cut across him because Lando Norris was trying to close the door on myself. Can we try and fight back some of these places, as Bottas pretty much having the dream start there despite the commotion, trying to get lined up on the grid. I mean, we have got very little to lose in this race, and potentially a whole lot to gain there as Verstappen trying to have a look around Charles Leclerc. Lando Norris again trying to have a look up the inside of me as well. I would go around the outside of George Russell then through the middle sector. Of course, now these soft tyres actually starting to give us a little bit of grip. We'll slot back in just for now there, but nightmare start here in Mexico. I guess the only thing that could have gone worse is if we lost the front wing, as Lando Norris still trying to get all over my gearbox. But yeah, we've got to try and utilise these soft tyres as best as possible early on, and that will mean trying to make moves. But I mean, will we even be able to hang with these faster cars early on? I just simply don't know. It's coming towards the end though of lap 2. Feel like we're just kind of settling in rather than applying pressure to George Russell. There was Bottas sets fast as that. Verstappen goes even faster though. And now could Red Bull finally be on for another strong weekend here? I feel like they have won one race, haven't they, this season? I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But yeah, Red Bull definitely want to try and get themselves prepared for Season 3. I mean, how cool would it be if we had Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren, and maybe even just ourselves battling it out for our World Championship there? That would be sort of 1982 levels of insanity. But Lando Norris and Lance Stroll have really tripped over each other early on in this race. They're about 3 and 4 seconds back respectively, as we are just hanging on to the coattails of these guys. And maybe now we have just got to play the long game, because of course we are on the softer compounded tyres, and we're going to probably have to hope that either we got mega pace or that a safety car can grate us. It's coming to the end of lap 4 though, just top end of speed. We haven't got enough of it early on here as Charles Leclerc now sets fastest lap of the day. I mean, we do get a bit closer to George Russell when we get back down towards turn 1, but I'm worried we're just going to have to use far too much battery if we want to try and make anything happen on the Mercedes, and even then, it's still no guarantees. You're pretty much on the rev limiter down in towards that first corner. I know it has got a few more RPM left in the tank, but you're not really going to be able to find them. See, you seem to find, of course, with these hybrid cars, but they've got so much torque lower end, they just really can't get, obviously, right up to the red line. I mean, you could. I remember back, actually, when the 2014 engine regs came in, you could actually rev the cars up to 15,000 if you wanted, but all the teams and engine, well, basically engine suppliers worked out it was pointless. That's why none of them rev any higher than, what, like 13,000? And even then, it's pretty useless getting them that high most of the time. This is why I know I get a lot of complaints from people saying I short shift too much. It's not any slower on F1. You only really want to take them to about 11, 8, 12,000. But obviously when you get into 8th gear, that you've got no more gears to cycle through, as that is a horrible line there. But we are just trying to hang on and play the patience game behind these cars, because I just don't feel like we can make an impact. Strong pace on Saturday, but might have just taken a bit too much out of it, and maybe hope for a bit too much. As long as we stay in the DRS though, we should be good. Mark's just come over the radio saying Lando Norris with some issues in this Grand Prix, and looking for Gappy's falling off down towards turn 1. I think that's a safe assessment of what's going on in this situation. Of course, Mercedes really not looking good in either championship at the moment. George Russell still with a fighting chance against Bottas, but Mercedes just haven't had the pace throughout a lot of the second half of this season, really since about the first 6 Grand Prix. McLaren seem to have had the better of most races, but George Russell hanging on there through sheer consistency. So we again go purple through sector 1. Oh, here we go, around the outside of George Russell. That was very, very weird, but we'll take it. George Russell just seemed to park it on the apex there. We got the front wing around the outside, and sometimes you still sort of see the AI panic here. Unfortunately, oh no, we have still got the DRS. So that is really important then in this Grand Prix, and we've accidentally made a move on George Russell here. We have got to start making a little bit of progress. I want to take these tyres ideally to the end of 11 there, as I think Hamilton now trying to move past Lando Norris, but a horrible understeer down at turn 1. That is not quite what I wanted, as maybe now these tyres just getting pushed towards their sensible limits, or perhaps we're still just trying to push hard. I'm a bit surprised, to be honest. Charles Leclerc hasn't been able to get past Max Verstappen, but like I said, I think everyone are really just struggling with the fact there isn't... It's really weird on F1 22, it's difficult to describe. You haven't actually got sort of enough top-end speed in the gearing. Of course, that's an awful line out of turn 1 there. We're just apparently doing those every time through, but yeah, because of obviously the fact you can't do any custom gearing, they're just preset by the game, it kind of feels around tracks like this especially that you kind of get to the top of the rev range, but so does everyone else around you, and you're all stuck at the same speed. Bit weird, but maybe it'll get sorted as the cars get even faster, or it's just going to become an even bigger problem. Well, coming towards the end then of lap 11, I'm having a look on the mini-map, and I'm a little bit worried about that huge train of cars behind Lance Stroll. They're about 15 seconds back. I'm just trying to work out whether we'll come out ahead of it, right at the front of it, or somewhere horribly in the middle, but into the pits we come at the end of lap 11. These tyres are well and truly destroyed. Nice big lock-up on the way, and we may as well turn them into 50p pieces whilst we're at it, and I'm not convinced we're going to be out ahead of the Canadian here. It might be quite close, actually. Of course, we are right down the far end of the pit lane, but of course they're going to have so much extra speed as we head in towards the first turn. 2.5 second stop though. We couldn't have asked for much more than that, but we are not going to come out ahead of this gaggle. We are going to get thrown right in at the deep end, and this is not looking great. Every single car that pulls past us we're probably going to have to overtake here. So here goes Nicholas Latifi around the outside, and now we've got our work cut out here in Mexico. Of course, cold rubber as well, as Sonoda I think wanted to go for something down at turn 1. Listen to that as we rattle over the curbs. We've got to try and get the tyres up to temperature, and now we've got to slice and dice our way back up into the points. Well, there we go. Got the tyres up to temperature. We might be able to have a look around the outside, or up the inside even, of Nicholas Latifi. Big lock up there from the Williams, so that should make things a bit more difficult. A bit more easy, even I should say, as we go through the final couple of turns there. Yeah, Latifi kind of forced into backing out of the place, and back up into P15 we go then. Definitely didn't have the top end speed over the front runners, but have we got anything over a lot of the midfield? I'm not convinced when they're all in a DRS train. We'll have to make these moves through the corners. Here goes Teo Porcher on Lance Stroll back down towards turn 1. I just think it might be this car that's struggling for top-end speed. So again, the AI really struggling through this middle sector here. Not quite close enough to to Pierre Gasly even, I should say. We'll have a look up the inside, though, through the next corner. We went around the outside here once before. Now we'll get up the inside of the Alpha Tauri. Yeah, Schwartzman will still be inside the DRS of Carlos Sainz. Of course, Alpine had a really good race here last season. Can we try and get past Schwartzman? That was that Alfa Romeo. Seems to be hanging on slightly better than it has done a lot of races this year. To the inside, though, of Robert we go. As you can see, there's Teo Porcher and Lance Stroll duking out a little bit further up the road again. Loving to see Porcher getting his elbows out, building up more and more confidence in the car. But can't quite make it happen this time, sadly. I mean, really what we are banking on today is that hopefully, when we obviously jump onto a set of soft compound tyres towards the end, that we can be a whole lot quicker than all the other cars around us. As here we go, Carlos Sainz. We've often seen that Alpine be mighty fast down the straights, but not fast enough this time there. Let's get to the inside of the Alpine in towards the first corner. Surely we've just got that little bit of extra grip still. That means we can get on the brakes slightly later, commit the car to the turn-in, and get the throttle down, hopefully on the exit. Are we now going to see Mick Schumacher maybe a little bit vulnerable as well as we head up the back straight? Maybe it's time to send it. Whoa! Oh, no! No, 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 no! My heart. I can only cope with so much. That was really scary. I thought we just avoided Mick Schumacher and then was almost on a crash course with Kevin Magnussen, but somehow we hang on. That one I haven't had too many of on F1 22. I mean, there's a fair chance I'll go back and re-watch that move in the edit and realise it actually was nowhere near as close as I've just thought it was, but I'm going to try and put the power down on Mick Schumacher. I'm a little bit worried about how long the AI have been able to take their medium tyres. Are we going to be able to get a run on the Haas car back down towards one? We'll have a look. Mick, come on, man! Don't be doing that to me. It's all fun and games until you start trying to throw in very, very late blocks there in towards the first corner, and we will just slowly squeeze him out. And we will now slowly inherit P11 of this race, and now it is Aston Martin versus 212 Motorsport versus Aston Martin versus 212 Motorsport for the straggly end of the points. And as we so often see in Mexico, plenty of action going on. We're not even halfway through this race yet, but that time round, brilliant traction at the inside of Kevin Magnussen. I think a lot of these cars now starting to struggle on their tyres. There is Mick Schumacher, first one to peel it in, but that Aston is quick down the straights there. This is a really big drag race between myself and K-Mag, but again, down in towards turn 1. Should be able to make the move work there, as now can we try and get a run on Porcher and Sir Lance off the first corner? In a word, probably not. Porcher again just struggling slightly, but I don't really want to apply too much pressure to my teammate. Want him still to attack Lance Stroll here, so I might try and get a run on both of them back down towards turn 1. But yeah, really don't want to try and upset Teo Porcher's rhythm or race, because he is still running up inside the points. Oh, there we go. They're both actually peeling into the pits at the end of lap 17, sorry, even I should say. So pretty much, yeah, the halfway stage. There goes Lewis Hamilton. And we have certainly lost out quite a lot of time to the front runners, as Charles Leclerc still stuck behind Max Verstappen. But Bottas still only just hanging on to the lead. I think the Finn was coming under more and more pressure. Oh, here we go, more cars into the pit lane, as suddenly we do new fastest lap of the Grand Prix, first lap in clear air. And I guess all we've really got to hope for is that these hard tyres don't work out, as Verstappen has now taken the lead there. Charles Leclerc up to P2 ahead of Valtteri Bottas. That is quite critical for Charles Leclerc's slim but ever-growing championship challenge, as let's just see if we can try and get within the range of George Russell. He has dropped back slightly from that front group and might be a little bit vulnerable. I mean, it's true what they say, the tyre wear warmth giveth, and the tyre wear warmth taketh away on F1 22 there. Are we inside the DRS? Yes, we are. George Russell continuing to lose time around that lap, and this is going to give us a big, big helping hand in this Grand Prix. We haven't got much ERS at the moment, so we are going to have to be careful about that. But George Russell not in the DRS train. We could try and slingshot our way past the Merc, and then be right up there with the big 4. But then, of course, we've still got to try and make up a pit stop, but surely fresh softs versus old hards, we could easily be sort of 2-3 seconds a lap quicker for a few laps later on. Just closing on George Russell as we head back down towards turn 1. We get a good run out the first couple of turns, we might be able to have a look up the next straight. So I'll really attack the curves again through there. Try and put the power down nicely. We are a long way back at the moment. We can just see how potent the DRS is around this venue. Is up the inside? No! Oh, definitely not there. George Russell firmly slamming the door right in the face. Right, let's wait and see then. What can we do out of the final corner? George Russell often able to get quite good drive actually out of the final turn, but this time around we're much, much closer than we've been at any other point so far in this Grand Prix. Got to try and slingshot our way past the Merc though, and try and get inside the range of the cars in front. Straight past George Russell we go, but will we get close enough to Sergio Perez there? The gap's still 1.8 seconds, as we are getting closer and closer to the pace drop-off on these tyres. Going to try and take him to about the end of lap 25. We might struggle now as we try and close up to Perez and Bottas. Purple through the first sector again though. We are really building up some confidence in this car late on in the season. And there we go, end of lap 23. We have been able to stay inside the DRS of Sergio Perez there, and I'm sure George Russell quite happy with that one, because we might have just dragged him back into contention in this Grand Prix. I don't think he is though. I think that might be George Russell with issues in this Grand Prix. Nope, saying that, it might be Lewis Hamilton. And that is probably even more heartbreaking there. The Mercedes, 3 mechanical failures in 3 Grand Prix. Hamilton's luck is so bad in this season of F1 22. I mean, we could see him retire at the end of the year the way this is going. Heartbreak again for Lewis Hamilton. Like we say, 3 engine failures in 3 Grand Prix. I don't think we've ever seen that in Lewis's career. The problem is as well, of course, unless they get rid of Hamilton's car, we're going to be now stuck under yellow flags here. I mean, if we can try and get a run on Perez, big, big wobble as we head out the final corner, but now we are probably going to try and box at the end of this lap. Teo Porchel, long, long way back, but are we going to be able to get a run on Perez back towards the first corner? He's going to go defensive on me. We are going to try and look around the outside. Perez tries to defend it though. Big, big lock up down at turn 1, and somehow we accidentally make the move work on Sergio there, just trying to get the car slowed down. So he tried to line himself off the exit. Now he's going to be under pressure from George Russell behind. And to be honest, if we can let these guys trip over each other, that could work out really well for us. But we are going to box at the end of this one, because now we're back to 4 cars, 4 teams, 4 power units make up the top 4. Through the final couple of turns, these tyres have hung on pretty nicely, but certainly we'll be quite happy when we get onto a fresh set of softs. And now I'm going to be really interested to see what the pace advantage is going to be like there. As again, just get the car slowed down nicely into the pit lane. Should come out in a lot of clear air between now Teo Porchel. Look at that. Solidly up in P8 there with a little bit of breathing room behind him. That's exactly what we want to see for our teammate. But yeah, probably going to lose about 20 seconds through this pit stop. So we're going to need to be 2 seconds a lap faster to the checkered flag. It's not likely, but you know what? We're going to go for it. The only thing I can see hindering us late on in the afternoon, of course, still the fact that those cars up the road have got DRS off each other. But despite that, and trying to get the tyres up to temperature, we still gained 1.6 seconds on Sergio Perez last lap. We're going to lose a bit of time as we head back down to turn 1. But 17 seconds was the gap over the line. Let's see what it is at the end of this one. Here we go then, at the final corner. Lap 27 was 17 seconds. Now, 15 seconds. 16.7 new fast lap of the day. Don't think we're going to be in the fight for the win, but we could still be close to, P4. I'd love to get a podium here, but I think P4 might be all we can do. As Verstappen seemingly dropping back, though. Charles Leclerc now into the lead of the Grand Prix. Perfect for him. It looks like Bottas might have followed him up into P2. So here we go. We are now in the DRS of Lando Norris. So we've taken another 2 seconds out of the front runners. Let's try and get past the McLaren, losing ourselves as little time as possible. But yeah, now Bottas is under pressure from Verstappen there. Looks like Leclerc has been given a bit of a lifeline. I don't know how he's done it, but he is now a couple of seconds clear of the rest of those cars. Is still just chucking the car over the curbing through the first couple of turns. Activate the DRS on the exit, and this is a now or never move on Lando Norris in this Grand Prix. It was maybe a little bit late there as Lando Norris tries to defend aggressively as he can there. Yeah, we probably did send it a bit too late, but wheel-to-wheel contact, we both seem to have got out of it unscathed. We'll put that one just this once down to hard racing. Oh, I'm not convinced about these tyres, to be honest. I think we might just have to accept this might not be the battle we can get ourselves back involved in with the front runners here. We just aren't taking the time out of them. And I'm worried we are chewing through this set of rubber there. 5 laps to go here in Mexico City, and I think, yeah, we might just have to accept this time round. We've just got to get the car to the flag, rather than hoping and praying for a little bit more. That might leave us vulnerable to Lando Norris behind. But there is still a lot to watch out for at the front of the field. Like I said, Charles Leclerc looking strong. Verstappen up in P2, so that works out beautifully for Charles Leclerc in his championship hopes. But if Russell can get past Bottas as well, that brings all of the top 3 much closer together. And the Finn is hanging along just ahead of his old replacement. Oh, we've got yellow flags out down in Sector 3. What I would do for a late race safety car here, we're not going to get one. It would only ever be a virtual safety car this late in the day, but it is Schwartzman out of the
no issues with tyre wear for now.
The Mexican Grand Prix. That's not going to do us any favours.
Okay,
and Lando Norris.
We've been informed the safety car is out. There appears to have been an issue with multiple stock vehicles on the track.
I think I might just have caused that, but I didn't think you could get a safety car in the final 3 laps of a Grand Prix here, but this is suddenly going to bunch up everyone. Have I accidentally given myself a fighting chance here for maybe a bit more in this race? I mean, even if it is just a 1-lap safety car here, we may as well just gamble and go on to a fresh set of the softs, because we're not going to lose out on anything. Tadej Pogačar just behind us. Oh, 50 miles an hour as we get into the pit lane here, but this has gone really weirdly. In all of a moment, we are unfortunately going to get one of the Haas cars in the way. That must be, of course, Felipe Drugovich, because Mick Schumacher running up in the points for Haas. Haven't said that all too often this season. 2.3 second stop, love that from the team. But is this just going to be a 1-lap safety car? And does that mean effectively... Oh, here comes Pogačar. Here comes Pogačar. Get out ahead of our teammate, please. Yeah, now we've effectively got to try and close up half a lap here, because the safety car might come in at the end of this one. No, safety car is coming in at the end of this lap, and we're barely out of Sector 1. So now we could see we could get a lot closer still. It's limiting my speed. Why? Come on. We've got our foot to the floor, and it is certainly not allowing me to do so as we head through the middle sector here. What on earth is going on late on in the Mexican Grand Prix here? But this might just have screwed us out of any opportunity to try and close back up to Lando Norris. Why is it limiting what we can do? Why, Codies? And to be honest, the tyres were going off anyway in this race, so I'm not even convinced, obviously, even if we had just been right with Lando Norris here on the safety car restart, that we would have been able to do much more. If anything, we probably only lost ourselves a couple of points potentially to Lando late on in the day. But what a weird little moment here in Mexico. You'd only ever get that in the Mexican Grand Prix on the F1 games. This place just brings out the craziness of F1. Right, here we go then, final lap of the Mexican Grand Prix, and safe to say this one, like always in Mexico, has been a bit weird. But yeah, P2 to P7 on paper really doesn't look like a good result for us today, but to be honest, we're back in the points once more here with a good solid finish. Not too sure what's going on with my wheel on the final lap. Maybe just getting a little bit warm from what has been quite a action-packed Grand Prix, but yeah, I mean, looking at it, looks like Charles Leclerc is going to walk away though with the race victory ahead of Max Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas there. So Bottas is going to lose more points to Charles in the championship. George Russell not going to be able to close in on though on his McLaren rival, so Charles Leclerc could well be the one that McLaren are worried about late on in the year. And I mean, that will be just a ridiculous story if Charles Leclerc comes from like 80 points back with like 7-8 races to go and still somehow walks away with the world title. Charles Leclerc will win here in Mexico City for Ferrari there. They are really leaving it late, but are they still going to be able to walk away with back-to-back World Championships? Looks like we are going to come through for P7 though. Not the best result in the world, but 6 more points on the board. We will absolutely take it.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
The thin air makes this event a brutal one for these Formula One cars, but this team have done a fantastic job to make it to the checkered flag and take a well-earned victory today. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today and the results speak for themselves.
Ferrari are at it again. An excellent performance at today's Grand Prix, and they're certainly a team that know what they're doing out there. More points for Valtteri Bottas, further solidifying his lead at the top of the table. So let's review the drivers' standings. Now, let's discuss, Ant. Who would you say is a contender for Driver of the Day?
I have to give it to Mr. Monaco. That was a commanding performance today. Very impressive indeed.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. McLaren continue to increase their gap at the top. Meanwhile, good work from Aston Martin this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.
Well, there we go then. We already lost 5 places, and apparently in Anthony Davidson's book, that's still Driver of the Day worthy there, despite, Lando Norris gaining 4, Mick Schumacher getting points for Alpine, and even Charles Leclerc third to first there come the checkered flag. But what a race it was here in Mexico. Like we said, Charles Leclerc wins the race for Ferrari, Red Bull's Max Verstappen P2, McLaren's Valtteri Bottas P3, just ahead of George Russell there, Perez, Lando, myself, and yeah, Teo Porcher, more points on the board for him with his best ever Formula 1 result there. Love to see that one ahead of Mick Schumacher and Carlos Sainz. Further down the order, it was just Robert Schwartzman and Lewis Hamilton that didn't see it through to the checkered flag. Championship-wise, though, does mean again the gap at the top, though, getting even more spicy as Hamilton could now drop behind Lando Norris in the championship if his luck, or his bad luck even I should say, continues in this run of form there. Just tied now 62 points away from the championship lead, but 3 cars now covered by less than 20 points in the championship. It is getting very, very dramatic at the top of the table there. Teo Porcher with that result does jump past Lance Stroll and Alex Albon. And I mean, like I said, we could see him jump Pierre Gasly by the end of the year there as well. I mean, P14 in half a season, that would be a fantastic job by Teo Porcher. Constructors-wise, though, again, we're just solidifying ourselves P6 overall. There, we've got pretty much triple the points now of Aston Martin at this late stage of the year. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well, and we will return very, very soon with more F1 22 content. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.